And shit, the fact that sometimes, dude, it's hard. It is incredibly hard to be a man in a society that expects you to take it on the chin and just grin and bear it, if you will. My experience in bolstering my own mental health has, one, has been setting boundaries, and two, sticking to them. Sticking to them is even harder. So every time I set a boundary, I brought back a piece of my peace. Welcome to DFW Grit. I'm Dr. James Taylor, and I'm your host, and this is more than just a podcast. We dive into the stories of the movers, the shakers, the small business owners, the entrepreneurs, right here in the DFW Metroplex. This is your home for authentic, real stories that prove what happens when you don't back down. Let's get to work. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of DFW Grit. As always, I'm your host, Dr. James Taylor. And I want to go back to my roots a little bit, if you will. So, for those of you who've been following along for quite some time, one, thank you. I think I say this a lot more now. Maybe it's because I have more episodes, whatever. But when I first started this, one of the things I would do, if you haven't picked up on the pattern, it goes interview solo, interview solo. And I like to do my solos kind of like a South Park 6 Days to Air kind of thing. I like to do them really close to when they're going to be dropped. So that way I feel like I'm getting something new, I'm getting something fresh. But also, if I'm struggling with ideas, it's just, hey, whatever's off the top of my head. So in the past, what I would do is, you'd hear me talk about, I saw this on Instagram, I saw this on social media. This episode was inspired by a meme, if you will. So this episode in particular, still absolutely inspired by social media. Maybe Zuckerberg will sponsor it one day. Who knows? But one thing, I mean, I don't know if this is algorithm. I don't know if this is truly because of where we're at in the year, or shoot. One of the things I've been doing this year is not following things that don't serve me. Shoot, there's a few episodes back. Giselle, she basically I said something during her interview where I was like, if I'm kind of doom scrolling and I find myself on her story, she always posts inspirational stuff, and it's always her stories that make me put the phone down. Shit, I got to get to work. So going off of what has been flooding my social media lately, and I want to do this. I want to do this sincerely. I don't want to do this to jump on a bandwagon per se. But man, I have been getting just inundated with a whole bunch of mental health stuff, specifically men's mental health. One, because I'm a man, I assume that's why. I know I'm a man. But two, it being November, Movember, Men's Health. I mean, it's all over my feed, and I'll tell you what. And I don't mind it. I don't mind it in the least. But I also don't recall ever seeing so much, I guess, awareness, if you will. And again, this could be chalked up to some algorithm kind of thing. But shoot, maybe glass half full. Maybe this is actually a movement that's kind of taking hold. So again, I don't want to jump on the bandwagon per se, but I want to give you my perspective on it, because it's, again, if you've been following along with this in any way, shape, or form, there's this give and take, this struggle, if you will, that I've been going through personally, just as the type of man I was brought up to be, and how I should act and how I should present myself to the world, versus whatever it is a man is, quote unquote, supposed to be now. So I don't think this episode is going to come off like this, but I'm just going to put it out there. This is not a cry for help in any way, shape, or form. Um, but like I said, it's been showing up so much lately, and I mean, I like it. I'm here for it, because one of the things that I've done this year, I think it started unintentionally, and it has absolutely become intentional. Is setting boundaries, and one of the things in my experience, again, with just coping with coping with, that's not the word I want to use. My experience in bolstering my own mental health has, one, has been setting boundaries, and two, sticking to them, right? Whether it be personal boundaries, business boundaries, relationship boundaries, vendor boundaries, if you will. Like, setting them is hard. Sticking to them is even harder. So, like I said, I don't want this to come off as a cry for help because that's not the intent. I want it to more come off as an acknowledgement, if you will, and shoot, as a bit of a thank you again to all the airtime that this stuff is getting, about ownership and about the pressure that men actually go through, and shit, the fact that sometimes, dude, it's hard. It is incredibly hard to be a man in a society that expects you to take it on the chin and just grin and bear it, if you will. So, and I think one of the things that has really kind of brought this to light in my own personal perspective is, you've heard me mention the dads group more and more. One of the things that they kind of pride themselves on is giving guys a place to not just be guys, but talk with other guys. And just it's given me a window, and shoot, I would imagine a whole bunch of other people that are actually participating in it, to see like, oh, they're going through it too. They're going through it too. They've got stuff going on with their wives. They've got stuff going on with their kids. They've got stuff going on at work. And it's like I said, I don't know if it's an algorithm thing or what, but it's been a wonderful looking glass. So, because one thing too that I see, like, most men that I know, granted these symptoms don't readily appear on the outside, um, across the sexes, is like most men that I know aren't suffering necessarily from anxiety attacks, or at least not in the way that I understand them. And I think I've spoke about this a little bit in the past, but again, in my perception, I see a lot of women talking about anxiety and anxiety attacks and panic attacks. I see this being talked about, and again, this could absolutely be because men traditionally don't talk, part of the downfall of man. But what are you getting? Well, that's for another day. But everything that I can think of when it comes to anxiety is being presented to me by a woman. And I'm not saying that men don't get anxious or anything, but like, they're not sitting around having anxiety attacks. They're carrying more, though, I believe, than what they might have been built for. And again, what are we told to do? Well, just we're told to keep walking, keep moving, carry it, don't drop it. I mean, it can be, just traditional gender roles, and like, oh, some of you going to turn off the podcast just because I said that. I don't care. I'll tell you right now, I absolutely believe in traditional gender roles. Now, that doesn't mean they're gender exclusive roles. You should absolutely be helping out on, both sides at the house, but there are certainly traditional gender roles. I mean, if something needs, Tamika hates to put air in her tires. Cool. I got it. Go for it. But back to the struggles of man. Being the rock for your family. I mean, heck, even the weight of business ownership, or, shoot, bringing home the money, if you will. Always solving, but never being allowed to struggle. And again, I'm not putting this on the woman or on the wife. I'm putting this on, just the way that we're brought up. It's not that we don't feel, it's that we don't, and I'm as guilty of this as anyone else, is we don't think we have time to feel. I talk about setting boundaries. One of the boundaries that I've set for myself, and I'll tell you right now, I've failed at stabilizing this boundary, is taking time for myself, taking me time, because I am absolutely still in the realm of, well, if I'm taking time for myself, I'm not working on this, right? I mean, we talk about boundaries for other people. We also need to have boundaries for ourselves. So, like, you stop reacting, but you need to start connecting, whether it be connecting with you or connecting with the people around you. We get back to our own emotional rage comment from a few episodes ago. So, what do boundaries, though, have to do with mental health? It's what you allow in, right? Or what you no longer tolerate. So, like I said, I made more boundaries in 2025 than I think than I ever have, and to my success, if you will. Now, again, some of those boundaries are harder to hold than others, and some of those boundaries they fall and I have to build them back up. And again, they fall because I let them fall. But it's not about being mean. It's about being sane, he says to himself in the mirror. I mean, shoot, even as I'm recording this, it's coming to me right now. There's a boundary here in the office with the staff that I did not hold this morning, but it needs to be addressed when they come back this afternoon. So like we talk about we talk about the people around us, right? Whether it be, because they're all relationships, whether it be staff, whether it be family and friends, whether it be just any interpersonal relationship you have. Uh, a decent example. I'm struggling with words because I've got I have an idea I want to share, and I'm just going to say it. So one of the boundaries I set this year was I'm not going to allow myself to allow somebody else to be a victim. So about a year ago, a little bit of backstory. My folks, I've got 72 first cousins. I come from, my mom's got a family of 12 and my dad's got a family of 8. There's a whole bunch of people. And on my mom's side, there are factions in this family. If you got 12 people, uh, you're going to have disagreements. And these disagreements are borderline generational. Like it is insane. So there is a family member down here that does not get along with my mom back up in Minnesota, and vice versa. It is absolutely a two-way street. And her husband, not my dad, my aunt's husband passed probably about a year ago. And in so doing, she was grieving. Understandable. And when people grieve, sometimes they say stupid shit. Totally understandable also. Not the best course of action, but hey, you lost your husband. Yeah, stuff's going to fall out of your mouth. And I got a text from my mom saying, "Hey, I heard you were saying XYZ about us." I said, "Well, one, I wasn't. Two, you know full well, mom and dad, that at family gatherings, if you will, I exchange pleasantries at best. I am never been like an event person, much of a family person. But I'll talk with you. I'll let you go skin deep, if you will, and just basically like, hey, you know what? One, I haven't been saying this stuff, and two, if you thought I was, why not just come to me? Because she didn't come to me in an inquisitive manner. She came to me confrontationally, and so I just told her, I'm done putting up with this kind of thing, and this was about a year ago, and for an entire year, my mom and I didn't talk. We didn't text. We didn't exchange a phone call, nothing. We didn't talk. 2 weeks ago, out of the blue, she sends me a reel, and it was just some AI generated thing. And it was like, the only thing worse than being stabbed in the back is turning around and seeing who's holding the knife. Literally, that's the first thing she said to me in over a year. She didn't call the kids on their birthdays. She didn't call me on I think she might have sent, she sent me and my wife a group text because we share the same birthday. But no, like she didn't speak to us for over a year. She didn't call my wife when her dad died. And a relationship is a two-way street. This is a boundary thing. Hey, if you don't want to do your end of the bargain and the bare minimum, that's fine. We don't need that. And then she would turn it around and be like, you told us that you don't want us influencing your kids. No, I don't want your shitty behavior influencing my kids. Now, this is a boundary that has to be set. There are plenty of people out there that tolerate this shitty behavior from plenty of people, whether it be blood or otherwise. And it absolutely sucks. If you know anything that's going on behind this camera, both my wife and I have next to little to speak for grandparents for our kids. So it sucks that they're removing themselves from their lives like that, from the lives of my kids. And hell, even my life too, for that matter. But at the same time, like, it's not something that we're going to put a smile on our face and just pretend everything is fun and happy simply so they can get some more Christmas presents. It's totally fine to be, absent from that kind of stress and that kind of struggle. But I mean, even going back to just the whole, how's this men's mental health? Well, I'm a man. This is part of the thing that I'm going through, is trying to be a good role model and a good father for my kids. But that also means absolutely positively not tolerating other kind of bullshit that might come into their life, even if it's from the grandparents. So right here, every time I set a boundary, I brought back a piece of my peace. And it was, and then, like, and when I wrote the response, actually, let me pull this up. So she sends me the thing. You see her, you turn around, see who's holding the knife. And I respond back to her. I didn't stab anyone in the back. I walked away from a dynamic that needed me to be the problem so you could stay the victim. What a fantastic, I mean, obviously totally biased, but what a fantastic response, in my opinion. I was really proud of myself for that. But so back to owning these boundaries, back to owning, the peace in your own life, right? Here's the thing, mental health isn't just something you manage, it's something you own. I owned that response. Now, I've made a decision this year, and I'm not outsourcing it anymore. I'm not outsourcing my feelings to others. Because the thing is, like, you can't fix what you won't face. Because I'll tell you right now, that particular relationship, there's been plenty of times where I put on the smile, and I allowed the misgivings to go not unrewarded, but to, like, just, I brushed him under the rug kind of thing. Now it used to be about, being strong meant letting stuff roll off my back. But if you don't fix it, they won't learn nothing. I don't know what movie that's from. It's definitely from a movie. So, what I've been learning this year, we talked about losing staff on a few past episodes, losing associates. We talked about resetting culture, whether it be culture in the workplace or culture in other relationships, still showing up as a husband and father. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like back in the day, that dynamic right there, how a parent was acting versus how, shoot, say it like it is, versus how my wife was reacting. Like, dude, they didn't call her when her dad died. I mean, you can't play neutral on that. You can't, right? You got to pick sides. And I'll tell you what, I picked the right side. So it's basically, I don't feel guilty about it. And that in and of itself is interesting to me, simply because, like, it's my parents, it's my family. But that was a shitty thing to do. That was a boundary that I had to hold firm on. And it's interesting that I don't feel guilty about it. I don't know, maybe it's still unpacking that, but I like where I stand on that. My mental health hasn't come from meditating. It hasn't come from, sitting kumbaya home on a mountaintop. It's come from making hard decisions, doing the right thing, and staying consistent when no one's clapping. Now, again, when I wrote that response, I ran out on her shoulder because I wanted some acknowledgement. I wanted her to clap for me, because that is a huge growth. Because there's one thing, I think I've said this on past episodes, like, I would have, past James Taylor would have dove in, would have sent paragraphs of text. Like, it was really the point, when Tamika and I were dating. If she came home, because again, chiropractor, so did a lot of anatomy. I didn't write a lot of papers, right? So she came in, and if she saw a big, Word document put together, her first question was, "Who are you arguing with on the internet?" Because I'd type out my arguments first. So that way there's no spelling or grammar mistakes. Because on the internet, if you got a spelling or grammar mistake, boom, you immediately lose. So all that being said, like I said, it's just a matter of staying consistent. And sometimes holding these boundaries is a hard thing to be consistent with. Something else I've said on past episodes, one of the little mind triggers that I use for myself is I don't negotiate with myself. And I've used it in the past in terms of, waking up early, going to work out, or, eating right or something like that. But the same thing holds true for these standards that you set and for these boundaries that you set. If you decide that you're going to do it, you can't negotiate with yourself, because you made a promise to yourself. So All that being said, I want to let you know that odds are you probably don't need to be rescued, but you might need to be reminded that you're not weak, you're not feeling worn, or you're not weak for feeling worn out. You need to be reminded that boundaries are absolutely a form of leadership, whether it be leadership with others or leadership with yourself, and that ownership is 100% healing. It's just at the beginning, it kind of sucks to start. But like I said, it comes back to repetition. Do it over and over and over again, and it'll get easier and easier every time you do it. Now, I've ended every episode like this since damn near the very beginning, and this one is no different. I really hope you will learn more here by accident than elsewhere by design. So, if this struck a nerve with you, hell, in a good way or a bad way, like I said, as always, like, share, follow, and I'll catch you on the next episode of DFW Grit. We'll see you guys later.